President Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso was making his way through the busy market, dressed down. No suit, no tie, no formal guards in sight. Just a simple white shirt, brown pants, and a cap pulled low over his eyes so no one would recognize him. The butcher slicing goat meat, the woman selling bananas, even the young guys wheeling onions didn't suspect a thing. Why was he doing this? Well, his advisors kept telling him everything was fine, the country was stable, people were content. But Ibrahim's gut said otherwise. That morning he told his wife, "I need to see things for myself. Feel what the people feel. Hear what they say when they don't know I'm listening." She looked at him with concern. "Be careful," she said quietly. "You're a good man, but good men make plenty of enemies." He smiled, kissed her forehead, and promised, "I'll be back before sunset." So there he was, blending into the crowd with two trusted guards who looked just like regular folks. Nobody gave them a second glance, until a crackling, broken radio caught his ear. "Breaking news!" shouted a kid, maybe 12, standing on a rusty metal box. His radio was held together with tape and wires, but it worked. "Danger at the palace. Traitors are plotting to kill President Traoré tonight." Some laughed, some tossed coins into his cup, most thinking it was just a poor kid pretending to be a reporter. But Ibrahim felt a chill. He edged closer, whispered, "Where did you hear that?" The boy blinked, confused. "Who wants to know?" "Just a news fan," Ibrahim said softly. "Is it true or just a story?" The boy jumped down, serious now. "Not a story. Heard it last night on my shortwave radio. Some men speaking in code. Tonight is the night, they said. And they said the president's name. I even recorded it." Ibrahim's hand suddenly felt cold. "Can I hear it?" The boy dug out a scratched-up old recorder and hit play. Static, then faint voices. "He must be gone before morning. Tonight, at the council meeting, we have insiders. The guards are ours." Ibrahim's heart sank. One voice was unmistakable. Someone from his own cabinet, someone who had been with him just yesterday. "Do you know who they are?" he asked. "No," the boy said. "But I tracked the signal. I've been into radios since I was 7. My dad was a soldier, but died when I was small. I live on the streets now, but radios are my world." The ground felt like it was shifting beneath Ibrahim. He had come to see the truth for himself, and now he had it, clear as day, through the ears of a street kid. "This boy just saved my life," Ibrahim said. "You're coming with me." The boy hesitated. "Why?" "Because I believe you," Ibrahim said, slowly pulling off his cap. The boy's eyes widened. "You? You're the president." "Quiet," Ibrahim whispered. "Not here." The two guards, still dressed like everyday men, were suddenly on full alert. One leaned in and said, "Sir, we should leave now. If that recording's real, time's running out." Ibrahim nodded. "Take us back? And bring the boy with us." Ismail, still catching his breath, looked stunned. "I can't go to the palace. I live in a broken bus near the train station." "Not anymore," Ibrahim said firmly. "Tonight, you ride with the president." They slipped away quietly through narrow alleys, disappearing into the night. Around them, the crowd soon went back to their usual business, ignoring the crackling radio that still warned, "This isn't a joke. The president's life is in danger." But no one was really listening, except the enemies. Somewhere in that crowd, a man pulled out his phone and made a silent call. "Knows?" the man whispered. Meanwhile, the presidential convoy moved like a ghost through Ouagadougou streets. No flashing lights, no sirens, no screeching tires. Just a lone black SUV racing down back roads, avoiding eyes and traffic. Inside, Ibrahim sat next to Ismail, the street kid who had just turned his world upside down. The boy clutched the old recorder like it was a treasure, eyes wide as he took in the leather seats, the air conditioning, the glossy dashboard. "Is this for real?" he whispered. Ibrahim smiled. "Yes, son, you're sitting right next to the man they're trying to kill." "So, what now? Arrest them?" "Not yet," Ibrahim said. "If we move too soon, they'll slip away. We need to catch them in the act, at the council meeting tonight." "The meeting?" Ismail leaned in closer. "A private one. Only ministers and top security officers are allowed. That's when they plan to strike." The guards exchanged tense looks, silently acknowledging the danger. "I have to be there," Ibrahim said. "If I don't show, they'll know we're on to them. But this time, we'll be ready." He turned to the boy. "What's your name?" "Ismail." "Ismail, tonight you're part of a secret mission. You helped uncover a deadly plot, and for that I owe you my life." Ismail felt overwhelmed. He'd never been part of anything important, never had a real family dinner, and now here he was, sitting beside the country's most powerful man, planning a battle in the shadow. "Can I ask something?" Ismail said quietly. "Go ahead." "Why do they want to kill you?" Ibrahim looked out the window long and hard before answering. "Because I stood up for the poor, because I shut down dirty deals with foreign companies, because I stopped powerful men from stealing our country. When a leader becomes a problem, they want to erase him." Ismail lowered his gaze, remembering the poverty he'd known. "You're different," he said softly. "Yes," Ibrahim agreed. "But not everyone likes change." When they reached the presidential gates, the guards scanned everything carefully. The place seemed calm, almost too calm. Inside the mansion, Ibrahim hurried to his private study with Ismail and the two guards. He called in Commander Coup, his sharp chief of intelligence, and one of the few he still trusted. Coup listened to the recording, his face unreadable. When it ended, he said simply, "It's real." "Do you recognize any voices?" Ibrahim asked. Coup nodded. "Minister of Defense, possibly the Chief of Internal Security, and another voice I don't know." Ibrahim's heart sank. These were men who'd sworn to protect the nation, men he'd shared meals with, shaken hands with. "Keep an eye on them," Ibrahim said. "But don't make a move yet. Let them come to the meeting like nothing's wrong." "And the boy?" Ismail stood awkwardly by the bookshelf, clutching his radio. Ibrahim placed a hand on his shoulder. "He stays here. Feed him. Give him a bed. He's done more for this country tonight than most politicians." Ismail smiled, a small, nervous smile, but it was full of pride. Night fell. Ibrahim prepared for the most dangerous meeting of his life. Hidden bulletproof vest beneath his clothes, guards with silent weapons. Coup placed undercover agents all around the presidential building, but one question haunted them all. How many traitors remained inside? At 10:45 p.m., the council room lights came on, chairs arranged, tea poured. Everything seemed normal. By 11 p.m., the ministers arrived, smiling, chatting, shaking hands, but some hid deadly plans. At 11:10, Ibrahim entered. The room stood, they saluted, they smiled, but his eyes scanned sharply. He recognized the Minister of Defense, the very man whose voice was on the tape, the man who'd once called him brother. Just as the meeting began, a whisper in his earpiece. "Sir, we have a problem. There's a suspicious signal inside the room." "What kind?" "Someone's transmitting audio live, sending the meeting's words somewhere else. There's a spy." Ibrahim froze. The danger wasn't just a plan. It was already happening. He looked slowly around the room. 12 men, all dressed fine, all acting normal, but one was betraying them. His heart pounded as he tried to guess. The man scratching his neck, the one checking his watch, the one ignoring his tea. Then the Minister of Defense accidentally knocked over his cup. As he bent to clean it, the tablecloth lifted just enough for Ibrahim to see a blinking red light inside his jacket. The bug. The transmitter. Ibrahim pressed a button on his pen, a signal to Coup. "Go! Operation Blackout starts now." Suddenly the palace went dark. Boom! His heart pounded as he tried to guess. The man scratching his neck, the one checking his watch, the one ignoring his tea. Then the Minister of Defense accidentally knocked over his cup. As he bent to clean it, the tablecloth lifted just enough for Ibrahim to see a blinking red light inside his jacket. The bug. The transmitter. Ibrahim pressed a button on his pen, a signal to Coup. "Go! Operation Blackout starts now." Suddenly the palace went dark. Boom! Gasps and shouts filled the room. Chairs scraped the floor. Smoke poured in. Guards with night vision goggles rushed in, grabbing ministers before they could react. Within seconds, the lights flickered back on. On the floor lay the Minister of Defense, pinned down, his bug found. Everyone stared, shocked. "What's this?" the deputy minister shouted, pretending surprise. Ibrahim stood tall, voice cold and steady. "I trusted you." "But someone chose betrayal," the Minister of Defense yelled. "I was forced. They threatened my family. I had no choice." Ibrahim met his eyes. "You had a choice. You chose power over honor." The man was dragged away. But then another voice. "Sir, one of the guards escaped through the back." Ibrahim's stomach dropped. More traitors. Someone on the inside helping them. "Search everyone. Every staff, every guard, every cleaner, every cook. Someone's still in this." Coup nodded. As they left, Ibrahim suddenly stopped. "Where's Ismail?" He'd left the boy safe in the guest room, or so he thought. His heart sank when they found the door wide open. The room was empty. No Ismail, no recorder, just an open window and a spot of blood on the floor. Ibrahim stood frozen, staring. Ibrahim's guards burst into the room, shouting orders, turning it upside down in minutes. They checked every corner, looked under the bed, behind curtains, in every dark nook, but Ismail was nowhere to be found. "Find him!" Ibrahim's voice echoed, sharp and urgent. "Seal every exit, search the whole palace, every door, every window. He can't have gotten far." Minutes later, a pale, breathless palace guard rushed in. "Mr. President, I saw someone. A man dressed like a servant. Just before the blackout, he entered the guest wing." Ibrahim's eyes narrowed. What did he look like? Short, stocky, with a scar on his left cheek, limp in his step. Recognition hit Ibrahim like a blow. "Captain Caleb." "The same man we fired last year for spying?" "Yes. If Caleb's involved, this goes deeper than we thought. Lock down the entire palace, no one gets in or out, and double the security on my family." Orders flew through the halls. Soldiers moved like a well-oiled machine, but Ibrahim's mind raced, flashing back to Ismail. The boy with the radio, the secret recording, now missing. Far from the palace, on the outskirts of the city, a battered van bounced down a rough dirt road. Inside, Ismail sat tied to a chair, his mouth gagged, eyes wide with fear. Opposite him, Captain Caleb smirked, scar prominent in the dim light. "You've made a lot of trouble for powerful people, boy," Caleb said coldly. Ismail tried to shout, to warn someone, but the gag muffled his voice. "You should have kept quiet," Caleb hissed. "That mouth of yours will get you killed." Another man laughed, cruel and light-hearted. "He's just a kid. Let's finish this and toss the body in the river." Caleb shook his head. "The boss wants to hear the recording first. If it's dangerous enough, they'll hand him over to the foreigners. Let them deal with him." The van turned off the main road, pulling into a dark, abandoned warehouse. Ismail's heart pounded like a drum. Was this where it ended for him? Caleb grabbed the recorder and pressed play but silence. "What the hell? Where's the audio?" Ismail stared back, eyes burning. "I hit it." Caleb's fist crashed into Ismail's face. Blood spilled. "Where?" Ismail spat blood on the ground. "You'll never find it." Before Caleb could react, his phone rang. "Change of plans," a voice said coldly. "The president's closing in. Take the boy to the airstrip. He must disappear." Ismail's hands bled, his face swollen, but inside, a tiny spark of hope burned. They were wrong. The recording wasn't in the palace, not on his body, not even in the radio. He'd hidden it somewhere no one would think to look. Inside the broken speaker back on his street corner, where it all began. Back at the palace, a young janitor was cleaning that very speaker. Something caught his eye. The back was sealed tight with tape. Curious, he peeled it open. Inside was a small memory card. "Sir, I think this belongs to the president," he told a nearby security officer. Commander Siku burst into the command center, holding the tiny card like a lifeline. "Sir, we found the boy's recording." Ibrahim turned from the balcony, eyes lighting up with shock and hope. "Where?" "A janitor found it, hidden in the broken speaker Ismail used earlier." Ibrahim's hands trembled as he took the memory card and plugged it in. Clear, undeniable audio spilled from the speakers. "He must be gone before morning. The guards are ours. The boy knows nothing. Take him out quietly." The room fell deathly silent. Proof the enemies, both foreign and domestic, had joined forces. Proof they wanted Ibrahim dead. And proof a street boy had been right all along. Meanwhile, at a private airstrip on the edge of the country, a black jet roared to life. Ismail, bruised and battered, was dragged up the steps. Caleb followed closely, whispering coldly, "You should have kept your mouth shut." Engines screamed as the jet prepared for takeoff, but then thunder rolled overhead. A black helicopter appeared, dropping soldiers with rifles aimed. "Drop your weapons, hands up!" Caleb grabbed Ismail as a shield, shouting, "Back off or the boy dies!" For a tense moment the soldiers hesitated. Then bang! A shot rang out from behind. Caleb fell, blood pouring from his leg. Ismail tumbled free. Out of a second helicopter stepped President Ibrahim himself. "You hurt my people," he said quietly but firmly. "You tried to sell my country. You stole a child from my home." Caleb groaned in pain, defeated. "It's not over," he whispered. Ibrahim shook his head. "No, it is over." He turned to his men. "Arrest them all. Burn that jet if you have to. And bring my son home." That night the whole nation watched on live television. But this time, Ibrahim wasn't alone. Ismail stood beside him, clean, bandaged, smiling brighter than anyone had expected. "My fellow Burkinabe," Ibrahim said, "tonight we were nearly destroyed from within. People I trusted tried to take everything from us. But one voice saved this country. One boy, a child of the streets. The room filled with applause and tears. Ismail stood quietly, overwhelmed, unsure what to say. Ibrahim placed a steady hand on his shoulder. From now on, this boy is family. Proof that the voice of the people matters, no matter how poor, no matter how young. Still works? Ibrahim asked one day, holding up the dusty speaker. Ismail smiled. It always works, sir. You just have to listen closely. And far away, across rooftops and trees, Burkina Faso stood a little taller because one street boy dared to speak up and saved a nation. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more real-life stories that matter. Your voice can make a difference, just like Ismail's. Thanks for watching.